Hello everyone, welcome to AWS data engineering classes. So this week we are exploring CI/CD services. We have already explored code build and code deploy service. Today we'll be talking about another CI/CD service that's mainly deployment CD service, code pipeline. So let's start with the agenda. So overview of code pipeline. Set up a GitHub repository for static website. Create a code pipeline, add source stage, add a build stage, add deploy stage, push code changes to the repo, monitor the code pipeline, and verify code changes on the website. Okay. On a very high level, in simple words, I would tell you that there was a static website which we created in the first week of training, right? Now we will link that static website with HTML code which will be stored in GitHub. And whenever we want to make any change to the website, we will simply make a small change in the code and we will commit it into the Git repo. That's all. Everything else will be taken care completely by code pipeline. And finally, your code will be deployed on your website. Ultimately, as we started with the introduction of CI/CD, that with the help of CI/CD, deployment is quite fast. You can have multiple releases even a single day. If you want to deploy five different changes on your website, you can do that. Gone are the days when we were having only one release in one quarter, completely end-to-end automated. Okay, so let's talk about what code pipeline service is all about. So AWS code pipeline is a fully managed continuous delivery service. Out of CI/CD, this is CD that helps you automate your releases. It automates the build process, test, and deploy phases every time there is a code change. This enables you to rapidly and reliably deliver features and updates. Any small change, any small bug fix, any enhancement you can do quickly. You can easily integrate AWS code pipeline with third-party services such as GitHub Jenkins. Earlier, I was connecting the code pipeline with the code commit repo, which was part of AWS earlier, right? Now, as I showed you that day, that AWS is not allowing you to create new code commit repository. In that case, definitely we have to, you can say, integrate it with the third party, that's GitHub or Jenkins. So for our training purpose, we will be using GitHub. Okay. So first of all, the GitHub repository which we created, that is containing some sample code, right? Let me show you. Okay. This one is my GitHub repository which we created and which has some files, right? If I go to some particular branch, we have few branches, right? Main branch, dev branch, and prod branch, right? Right. What we can do is we can create one more branch with the name static website, and let's put our entire static website code over there. So let me go to the browser. Okay, and let it open AWS. At the same time we'll open our GitHub. Let's log in into my AWS account. MFA code 281676, and parallelly I will log in into my GitHub. Okay, that's already logged in. Perfect. What I will do is I will create one more branch. So although there is a, you can see this one, right? Either we can play with this, but let me show you from the beginning. We were playing with this one, right? So I will create one more branch here. So there are three branches. I can play with these branches also, but let me keep it separate. Let's not mix it. So I will create one more branch with the name static website, and we can create from main branch. That's okay. Okay, I have just created a branch, although it does not contain any static website code. We'll push that from our local. So you can do it from here also. You can see that add file, and you can upload file from here. The challenge is you have to do one by one, and you won't be able to upload the folders, and there are like hundreds of file. So it does not make sense to do it manually from the UI. Rather, I will simply go to my local, and with help of GitHub desktop or with help of commands, I can do it quickly. So I will show you that. So I will go to GitHub desktop, and first of all, let's fetch so that it shows us the latest branch created. Okay, it's showing now, right? The last one, static website. Click on that. There is no change. You can say that zero changed files. So we do one thing. First of all, I will delete this file. This file is no longer required. Delete this file. Where is the delete option? Delete last one. Okay, delete this file. And now I have some static website code with me on my local. I will pick that. Hold on, I will copy that. Okay, static website code. It's here. Static website HTML code, right? So I will copy this entire stuff. Control A, Control C, and we'll go to our GitHub repository that was in documents, and GitHub, and my repo name. Correct? There's nothing as of now. Let's paste it. Okay, perfect. Come back to your GitHub desktop. It will show everything. You see now, right? It's showing everything, file, folder, everything. IMG underscore something something. 162 changed files. Total 162 files are there. Definitely not possible to upload manually, right? So all files are listed here, and there's a plus button, green plus. That means it's a new addition. And whatever we removed, right, that should also be here. You see this sample underscore code.py. The red mark is there with minus. That means that file has been removed. But that's absolutely fine. I will quickly commit this. I would say pushing static website code. Okay, you can put any meaningful message, commit, and push. Okay, perfect. So at least our code is there in the GitHub repository now. Now the next thing is creating a code pipeline and linking it with this particular repository. Okay, so I'm stopping here. In case you are having any doubt till now, you can ask. Otherwise, we'll move.
Very good, Neeraj.
Okay, perfect. So before we start creating a uh, code pipeline, you can either search here or you can find it here also. It's there, right? Code pipeline. This one. Get started. Let me duplicate this because we will need to definitely create an IAM role. So we'll open IAM. IAM. Okay. So there is no pipeline for now. That's absolutely okay. We'll create our first. Create pipeline. Create pipeline from template or build custom pipeline. So you can go with this one and click next. Pipeline name, anything. My code pipeline needed. You can go with the default settings. Existing service role. There is no service role. We'll create first. Okay, usually I don't go with the, I mean, it can create a service role for you, but it will not add the required permission. So it will definitely break some at some point of time. So it's a good idea that you create your IAM role in advance with a meaningful name, with a meaningful description, with appropriate permissions, and then we are good. So we'll go to IAM and click on roles, create role, AWS service, search for code pipeline. Do we have? Really? How is that possible? Code pipeline is not there. Code build is there, code deploy is there. How code pipeline is not there? And that's really not possible. I think I have created for so many batches. Code build, deploy, code grew. Data pipeline. No, it's code pipeline. Okay, let's do one thing. Let's go with that. This one, we will add the permissions. Provide some meaningful name. My code pipeline. Okay. Variables are not required. Advanced setting. Advanced setting. Artifact store. Okay, we'll see this. As of now, let's go with the default settings. Let's go to next. Source provider. Very important thing. Okay, so click on this one and we'll fetch from GitHub. GitHub, maybe this one. Create a connection. Okay, maybe just like we did that day for code build, we have to create a connection. Connect to GitHub. Connection name. Okay, let's put something. Code pipeline and GitHub connection. They keep on changing the things. I never did this, but let's try. Code pipeline, GitHub connection, connect to GitHub. It's browser based authentication, so most probably it won't bother us for entering something. Authorize AWS connector for GitHub. Okay, perfect. Okay, in code build, we use that personal access token for creating a connection. Here, it's a browser based, it's directly like asking us to log in, and just like different apps allow you to log in with Google, right? Similarly, it's using that browser based authentication, and we are good. So click on connect. Okay, perfect. You can see this, it has been connected, but it is saying an unspecified error occurred. Change your network connectivity and then see if there is any issue with service. Okay, forget about it. Click here, but it's not fetching. That means something is definitely wrong. Click here to retry. Hmm. Still not working. If I'm not able to fetch the repository, then definitely it will not work. Something is no. Okay. Let's try another one. I'm not sure what's the difference. GitHub Enterprise, I know. GitHub Enterprise is mainly for big companies. GitHub via app, GitHub via auth. Let's try this. GitHub via auth app actually is not recommended. But whatever you're recommending is you are not taking that. We tried that. Let's try one more time. Let's try this one more time. Let's put anything. ABC. Install GitHub app to connect as a bot. Alternatively, leave it blank to connect as a GitHub user, which can be used in AWS code build projects. Still same error. Let's try another one. GitHub auth, although that's not recommended, but let's try that. Connect. Please confirm to complete the connection. Okay, you have successfully authenticated your account. That's perfect. Repository, it should be able to fetch. Yes, it's fetching. The this one branch, the last one, static website. Okay, you go with GitHub. You can see this both options. Read this out. Use webhook in GitHub to automatically start my pipeline when a change occurs. That's my requirement. I don't want to trigger my pipeline manually. I will simply commit the code into my Git and automatically code pipeline should trigger. That's the recommended way. Another way is use AWS code pipeline to check periodically for changes. That's not good. It may be checking every 15 minutes or every half an hour. So you made some change now, your pipeline may not trigger immediately. It may trigger after a few minutes. Definitely will go with the recommended method. Click on next. Build provider. Okay, so I hope you remember code build project, right? So code build project can be part of a code pipeline. So either you can provide the command here or you can go with the other code build provider. In that case, AWS code build is here, right? And in that case you can even pick the existing code build project. So if you search here, you will find, you see that my first code build project which we created this week. Okay, but this is completely optional stage. Sometimes code build and code pipeline are completely separate and you don't have to mix them. I will tell you where to mix and where to not. Right now, HTML code is there and that will be used as it is in S3. There is no conversion required. It's not a Java project which needs to be compiled and converted into a jar and all that stuff. So, to be frank, for this project, we don't need to include code build here. But you should be aware about this, that code build project can be attached to a code pipeline, because when you're creating a code pipeline there are multiple stages. First stage was source, we provided that. Second stage is build, and you see that it's completely optional. But if you want to include, you can directly include your code build project here, just like I'm doing. If you want to skip, there should be some skip option. Let's come down, skip, right? I will skip it now, that's not required. We'll skip build stage. Test stage also not, you can use it if you want to apply some test. In those cases, if any of the test case is failing, your code pipeline will stop over there. It will not proceed because you committed some code change and somehow that code change you made is creating some problem, some test case is failing. There is no point of deploying, so your code pipeline will stop over there. It will not proceed. But for now, I am just skipping that. Okay, next is deploy provider. Your code pipeline is capable of detecting the code change in the repo. It's capable of fetching the code from there. But what next? Where to deploy? So deploy provider will go with S3. Okay. In the meantime, let me do one more thing. I will be duplicate this and open S3. I need to check which website is which bucket is there for static website. S3. 3. The last one, static website demo 698. Click that. And properties, at the end I think we should have that link for static website hosting, right? This is the link. Click on this. Okay, this one is opening, right? Basically this HTML code is coming from static website, this one only, right? So ultimately what we will do is we will link this S3 bucket with the code commit repository, so that any change you have to do, you simply make in the code commit, I mean in the GitHub repo, and it will ultimately appear here. So we'll go back to this one. In case you are having any doubt, please feel free to stop me. So deploy provider S3 and bucket, my static website, this object key I think we don't need to provide. Extract file before deploy, that's important, because otherwise what it will do is it will fetch the entire code from there, from a GitHub. It will zip into a single file, and then zip file it will put into the S3, which will not help, because in order to maintain this HTML static website you need the extracted content. So make sure that you click on that extract part. Configure automatic rollback on stage failure, that is fine, you keep it as it is. I mean in case some step fails it will roll back, it's okay. Let's move to next. Quickly review pipeline name, then my code pipeline here is that service role name, action provider GitHub, this is repo, this is my owner, this is my branch name, deploying into S3, this website, something something. Okay, let's click on create pipeline. And before we trigger this pipeline, at least I will make some change to the IAM role, because behind the scene this IAM role would need to do something on S3, and if without S3 permission it will definitely break. Okay, so I think it has already been started. Let's wait for it. In case it will fail, we'll see. You see that it has started in progress. What it is doing is it's fetching the source code from GitHub, which is successfully completed. Now the next is deploy. I think that's also completed. Okay, perfect. Now let's do one more thing. I will make some change, then I will show you how it works. Okay. So go to static website. Okay. And it is the main page, right? It is saying something contact, email, email ID, some number, something something. Let's try to change something from the code. Okay, so I will go to my this one. Okay, and open this main file, that is index.html. And what was there? Call us. Let's look for this call us. It should be somewhere. Let me search it. Call us, it's there, line number 128. Okay, instead of call us I would say text. Okay, and here I will put my number. I'm making some code change. Okay, so I change some text, I change some number, and now I want to reflect this code change on my website. And suppose I'm not aware about HTML, and I mean I'm not aware about code pipeline and all that concept, but code pipeline setting up is a one time activity. Okay, so as a HTML developer or someone, you simply tell them, okay, this is your code, this is your GitHub repo. You make your code change here. You don't need to worry about AWS or don't need to worry about pipeline and all. You simply make the change, commit your code, and after few minutes, because behind the scene code pipeline will run, it will take some time. After few minutes, your code change will be reflected on your website. So the deployment is completely automated. So we'll do that. I will go to my GitHub desktop. Either I can do from commands, but I think this would be easier. So you can see this index.html, there is a change. Coalesce is replaced is with contact, and this number is replaced with this one. So these two are red lines are minus. That means these lines are removed, and these plus lines are added. Although we did not remove any line, but it is a way to show two lines are removed, two lines are added, means there is a modification. Okay, so you can put some meaningful comment if you want to try, otherwise it's okay. Click on commit and push. Okay, as soon as I will push my code, I'm expecting that my code pipeline will should trigger. Let's check it out. I am coming back to my pipeline, and it succeeded just now. You can see that. Again, I will show the history also. It happened to me. Okay, let me go back. You can see in the left side history. Click on history. You see this first one. First one was triggered by create pipeline, because whenever you create your code build or code pipeline first time, it will be triggered automatically. So it was triggered by root. That's my, I'm logged in the UI, right? But the second, this one, second execution, right? You will notice that there's a webhook. And what is webhook? Webhook is nothing but a connection between your code pipeline and your GitHub repository, basically, right? So as we set up that authentication and all, and we selected that option that at any point of time there is any change in my code, your code pipeline should be triggered immediately. So it has triggered, and the good part is it has even succeeded, completed. Let's go back to our website and let's check it out if that change is reflecting. Let me, you can see this, right? Call us and some number. Let me refresh this and you will see the change. You see that? Perfect. Contact us and my number. This is one example of code pipeline. We have created one code pipeline that is capable of updating our static website. You can achieve something else also. If you remember, we had a class cloud formation, right? The cloud formation template we were uploading manually, but you can maintain that code into GitHub. And this time our deploy we selected as a S3, but you can select the deployer as cloud formation. So you make a code change and commit. Suppose you want to add a new IEC2 instance, new IAM role, new bucket, or anything else, right? Or you want to remove something. You make the code change in the template, commit the code change. As soon as you will commit, code pipeline will trigger. First of all, code pipeline will fetch your code, up to date code, and then it will send that code to the deployer. In this case, the deployer was S3, so it sent the code to S3. If you go back to this website, you will find that the particular file has been updated. Let's check it out. So let me refresh this first so that you can check. See this. All the files are January 25th, 7:28, just 3 minutes back. Although I did not upload any code manually here, right? I simply make the code change in my GitHub and finally it is coming here automatically. Similarly, you can achieve with the code, this one, cloud formation as well. There are many code deployer. Okay. So any doubt till now?
No, Neeraj.
Okay, I'm coming back. Let me show you some other things. Maybe we'll go to some other page. Let me go to the website first. So I will go to contact page. Okay. On the contact page, again, these details are there. Let's try to some other things. Maybe service. Okay. On every page, the details are, but we changed for home page. You see this home page we changed. Okay. If we want to change for some other page, maybe contact, email address, right? So let's change this one. So I will go to contact page. I will go back to my GitHub. There should be a contact HTML, and scroll down. We'll find somewhere, or we can search also. Our office, then address, email us. It's there, right? I will change it just to show you. abc@gmail.com. Okay. Control S. Save. Come back to GitHub desktop. It will show you the change made by you. Click on commit and push. If you only committing and not pushing, it will not trigger your pipeline, because committing means you are committing to your local repository which is on your local laptop. Once you push it, then only your code is going to the GitHub repository, and then only it will be triggering your pipeline. So let's come back to our pipeline. Most probably it might have been triggered. Okay, let me refresh. Yes, it's triggered and completed. If you want more detail, click on execution ID and you will get complete detail. Succeeded, started just now, completed just now, duration 14 seconds. Okay, visualization, you can see that it will show you complete different components. As of now we have two components only, source and deploy, but in between, as we skipped, right, there can be source, after that this one code build, after that code test, and finally can be code deploy. Definitely source and deploy should be there. It will be fetching some code from somewhere and deploying it somewhere. In between, if you would like to do something with your code, or if you would like to test your code, accordingly you have to add some test step. Okay, so it has been completed successfully. If you want to make some code changes, sorry, pipeline changes, let me go back to pipeline and edit source, add stage. If you want to add now, suppose you skip that point of time code build, but you want to add now, you can do that. Deploy is here, and let's add one more stage. I'm just thinking, what's the name? CFN. I'm just trying. But I want to add a deploy stage. I don't know what it has added. Automated stage configuration, cancel, add success condition, add failure condition. Okay, let's delete this. Not required. What I wanted to show you is that the deploy, right? We took a deploy of S3, but you can have a different deploy. Let me see if I can get something. Cloud formation is there, right? Input artifacts, action mode. You can see this, create or update a stack. My requirement would be either create or update. If it's, suppose you are doing it first time, there is no stack already created, so it will simply create a new stack. But suppose stack is already there, and after that you are making any code commit changes, so it will be updating your stack. So we can do this one. Stack name you have to provide, suppose my this one, file name, use configuration file, capability, output file name, variable namespace, output artifact. Okay, so I'm not doing it because I don't have the code in my git repo, but I'm just telling you that S3 is not the only deployment option. You can have many type of deployment. If you see here action provider, we simply went with S3, but you can do many more things. You can do code cloud formation, and code deploy also you can do. Code build we have already talked about, and there are few more stuff. Lambda function, you can invoke a lambda function also. Source, from where you want to pick code commit, you can do. From S3 you can pick the code. Bitbucket is just like GitHub, there's a Bitbucket also. For GitHub there are three different versions which we have already tried. GitLab is also like GitHub type of stuff. Like these are all code versioning tools. Okay, so all these things are there. So the ultimate purpose is that requirement can be different. You may be joining a different project, they may not be dealing with static website, But thing is, you should be able to visualize and should be able to find out the appropriate option and should be able to achieve it. You may face some challenge, you may look into that, some permission issue, you are not able to deploy something properly, but once you will try it, you will come to know. In my project, we are not maintaining any static website, rather we are doing this cloud formation stuff, because we are doing a lot of resource management and we don't want to do it manually. We simply make some code change in the git repo. And another point is, whatever code, whatever resource management we are doing in one environment, suppose I'm adding a new bucket or new im role in one environment in dev, I need to do the same in stage also. That's why we avoid doing it manually, because there are chances that you may miss something, you may forget something. But when you do it through code pipeline, when you do it through code this one github code repository, so you add the resources in your YAML template, you commit it, it will deploy into dev. You may face some challenge, fix it. Once it's fixed, once everything is working fine in dev, create a pull request from dev to stage. And now the same additional resources will be, because CloudFormation is smart enough, whatever is already deployed, it will not redeploy. It will compare the current version of template with the newer version of template, and it will figure out that this resource needs to be created as a new, this resource needs to be updated, and this resource need to be deleted. So it will be taking action accordingly. Okay. So this I was just showing you that instead of S3, you can try some other deployment provider as well. Okay. So I hope we are done for the day. Let me quickly check the slides. So add source stage, which we did. There were a few configuration. You can go with the default settings. Build stage we skipped, and deploy provider we selected as three. Select your uh, bucket wherever your static website code is located, because behind the scene it will fetch the code from S3, sorry, not S3, GitHub repository, and put into S3. Make sure you check this box, extract file before deploy, otherwise it will not work. Push code changes, you can either push from your local or you can directly make some changes on the server also. You can try from there also. Okay. And monitor the pipeline. Depending upon your code, it will take some time, hardly 1 minute, and then you can verify your changes. Okay. So we made a small change, right? Let's check it out whether that was deployed or not. So we made a change on the contact. Let me refresh. Yes, abc underscore gmail.com. Okay. I can show you quickly one more thing. I can make change directly from the server, not from local. This GitHub desktop and this thing will not come into the picture. Okay. So this is my repo. This is my static website branch. This is my code. Let me go back to contact.html. This one. Okay. You can edit from here directly. I put abc at gmail.com, right? Let me make it neeraj@gmail.com. Okay. Commit changes. Since you are directly committing on the server, you don't need to push it. Committing means you are directly committing on the server only. Okay. Code committed. Let's go back to pipeline. Let's go to history. It will trigger the fourth execution. Yes, you see that? One, two, three, four. This one in progress, and within few seconds it will be finished. You can click on this if you want to know more detail. Succeeded. Same 14 seconds. Okay. We'll go back to website and we'll refresh it again, and you see that, right? So making a change into the website is very easy and very fast. If suppose you are doing a big enhancement and after your deployment somehow you realized, okay, I missed something, so you can immediately do another release. It will not take much time. You don't have to plan next month or next week. You can do immediately within next. Talk to your manager, make the code change whatever you missed it, and immediately deploy it. Okay, so that's all about code pipeline. And with this one, we are done with CI/CD services as well. In case you're having any doubt in any of the CI/CD service, you can ask me.
Sure, Neeraj. Thank you.